Did you want to give me a quick intro to yourself and where you're from?
Yeah, sure. Richard Samuel. So I'm the CEO of August. I've been working for about 20 years, covered both fintech and banking, as well as more recently SaaS businesses. And yeah, found myself now looking after the team at August.
And how did you find yourself in the built environment sector?
I think it was a mix of curiosity and interest. Financial services is a really interesting industry too, but I wanted something that was perhaps a little bit more tangible, and that's really what the built environment is. And what we look after is thinking about both landlords and tenants. And that's critical to building effective communities across the UK, the rental landscape. So that's sort of how I got into it.
I mean, would you say that's like, do you have properties yourself? Like, have you experienced the pain point firsthand, would you say?
So I don't, but my brother does. So I've seen through the work that he does, the challenges that he has as a landlord, and obviously, like most people, I've also experienced the other side of the market, being a tenant, and some of the challenges you've had there. So bringing those into what we do at August is particularly useful, but we do a lot of listening to customers.
What gap in the market has it addressed, and what is it that August is actually doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, small landlords are the backbone to the UK market, and they've been underserved by tech. So we wanted to bring a consumer grade mobile app into the space to better support landlords in their day-to-day challenges with managing the rentals, managing the properties and the tenancies, as well as the tenants themselves with work that they're doing. So August is an all-in-one app that supports landlords across the topics of compliance. So we have a compliance checklist. It supports with rent tracking, rent payments, supports with documentation, so the centralization of all your documents, your safety certificates, your insurance documents, your mortgage documents. We have a personal AI. It's called August Intelligence. And that effectively acts as a property assistant in your pocket, so you can ask it any question. And a few other features like smart recommendations. So when you upload a document into our app reads the expiry dates on those documents and then can suggest helpful reminders as to when a safety certificate is expiring. You can set that as an email or an SMS or an in-app notification.
That's amazing. I feel like that's really different in the sense that it's for landlords, yeah, independent landlords as well.
I mean, what we were trying to build is something for the smaller landlord, because we thought that they weren't being well catered for in the market. Bigger landlords and agencies kind of look after the larger agents, the larger landlords, but the smaller landlord has been sort of overlooked. Historically, they've been using things like spreadsheets and WhatsApp messages and Gmail to communicate with their tenants. But what we've seen is the rise of regulation through the Renters' Rights Bill, increasing restrictions in place with specific local authorities, and then the fines that you can get doing the wrong thing as a landlord are pretty high. So we're trying to help landlords have effective relationships with their tenants, because most want to provide good housing. That's why they got into it in the first place. There are rogue landlords out there, there's rogue tenants out there, but the majority of landlords that we speak to about our products, they really want to do a good job. So that's who we're here helping.
For sure. And I guess like integrating AI with that as well is just making it that little bit easier, because we all know that there's a real pushback in terms of like just another technology and people kind of, feeling a bit exhausted with tech in that sense. So I guess AI has just made it that bit easier and a bit more seamless.
It has. I mean, so there are three things that August Intelligence does for now, but we're going to build on that more substantially in the future. But for now, the first thing you can do is upload your tenancy document into the app, and based on its read of the data and the data inside that tenancy document, it will find the property and suggest, is this your property? You can then click through to select, and then it can add your tenancy as well. So that's one very, very easy to point out, saving landlords time setting up their documents in our app and setting up their tenancies and properties. The other thing it will do is read these safety certificates, as I mentioned, and call out the expiry dates, and then provide them with suggested reminders. But then perhaps more fundamentally, you can ask any question about your portfolio. You could say, how long has my void period at this property been? How many times have my tenants at this property paid late? And it can tell you all that based on the data that we have available for you in the app. So the more you use the app, the more valuable it becomes, and the AI supports you in that way. Going forward and longer term, we see it as embedded as a core feature within every new feature that we're bringing to the app. So it will just get more and more useful for landlords and eventually tenants as well.
Yeah, so the plan is to kind of switch it over for tenants as well.
At the moment, we have both landlords and tenants on the app. We've definitely sort of doubled down on the features and functionality for landlords first. We think that's kind of the key to get them using the app. But we ultimately see this as a marketplace between landlords and tenants. On the other side, we want to build features that are useful for them, but that's probably coming next year. There are a number of things that tenants are able to do. They're able to pay in our app, they receive documents, they're able to see the rent that they've paid, and many other things as well, report things like maintenance issues to their landlords. But that's part of the app that we want to build out further next year.
I feel like you've answered a lot there about kind of what sets you apart from other property management software solutions. Is there anything else you wanted to flag that's quite unique to August?
I think, so just to kind of recap those, focused on smaller landlords, and we define those as sort of 0 to 15, if you like. We do find agencies come to us and put their landlords on. We find bigger landlords want to use us as well, which is super. I think we take the kind of core features of really what we're looking at building are rent tracking, payments, and then the other pieces around compliance checklist. Because as I said before, many landlords want to do the right thing, but knowing what that is becoming harder and harder and more challenging through regulation. And then I think the final dimension that makes us different is simplicity. We've really been UI focused. We're trying to build a consumer grade app. We have a quick setup, and it's a mobile first experience, and that is different to some of the other competitors.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that one. I'm really curious to understand, since you joined August, like what have your main challenges been? Has there been anything unexpected that's happened that you faced that you didn't necessarily see happening?
I think interesting. So what are the challenges been? I think the 2 or 3 main challenges have been, I perhaps didn't understand quite how fragmented the market was. So going out to landlords, telling our story and explaining to them why that is beneficial has perhaps been harder than I anticipated.
It almost seems like a given, doesn't it?
It does. But you've got to remember, I suppose, and it was something that I learned pretty quickly, that landlording typically for this segment is not their primary job. They work in another industry. Yeah, they are doing other things. This is sort of something they're doing on the side, but they want to do it well. I mean, that's what we hear again and again. So getting to that fragmented market has been more challenging. Needs to put more sort of time into that. I think the other piece is on education. Why are we better than the historic way that small landlords have done it, which is around spreadsheets, around Gmail, and around WhatsApp messages. Now, increasingly with regulation, those things need to be in one place, because you need to be able to prove it in the form of a dispute that certain actions have been taken at certain times. And that's easier to do with software than it is across a collection of personal apps that weren't built for those things. And then I think the other thing that I found challenging, but but been able to navigate is the regulatory impact on the sector. I come from financial services, very, very used to fairly stringent regulation. We see that entering the landlord market through the Renters' Rights Bill, and of course through making tax digital next year, where landlords will have to do self-assessment of their tax income by HMRC, by compliant software.
I guess the main thing there that was really interesting is you said about educating landlords, and I guess the ease of your solution and how easy it makes everything for the landlord should, yeah, be really solving the pain point there.
I'm fortunate that I've got a great team, you know, a great team that's sort of working on every problem here. So we are doing lots of things in the education space, whether it's, you know, blog posts, whether it's getting out to landlord events and getting in front of people. And we find that when we are, people are really engaged and love our solution. And they say to us they've never seen something like this on the market. We may be less developed than others, but what we are, with the features that we do have, we've developed them better, and people tell us that. So that's great.
Yeah, and I know that you guys have had a big focus on marketing as well, haven't you? So I guess that education piece will all come into marketing and how you communicate that.
It does, and you know, through videos that we do on the Meta platform, or educational videos that we put on our site, or the calculators that we've recently released, or the resources that we've released on our website, they all help to support landlords through, you know, what has become a more and more challenging market if you're a small landlord, and you do, you know, you take these actions every month, every other month, or remembering when your safety certificates need to be done. These are not actions that you're doing all the time, so you want a little bit of support in knowing when those things should happen. What do I need to do? Those sort of things.
How do you, as the CEO at August, be the best leader that you can be?
Challenging question. I think a lot of listening. You know, something that I've been taught much earlier in my career is that it's a bit cliche, but there's no monopoly on good ideas. It certainly isn't down to the leader to have the right ideas. There are times in this business I've had a different idea to someone else in the team. I've tried to really understand what's behind that idea, what are the foundations that make up that different point of view to my different point of view. And then we've actually often gone with a different point of view to my own, and I've reassessed where I've got to in that opinion, and it made sense to do. So it's not always the case, but certainly a lot more listening than talking. I think the other thing is just working out what people are good at. People bring very, very different skills, capabilities, attributes to a team. What are people good at, and how do you harness those? What skills have been underplayed so far? How do you bring those out of people, and you know, set fire to their ambition? It's probably the wrong way to phrase it, but you know what I mean. Ensure that ambition is really ignited. So again, listening to what people are trying to achieve and what they can achieve through the skills they have. So probably those two things.
Yeah, and then I guess trusting them to actually run with it.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to start from a position of trust, to ensure that the individual feels that from you. If you don't give that level of trust to them, they will feel that from you, and therefore you don't get the best work. I think the best work comes from not just the leader trusting, but the whole team trusting each other. And that's really key to what we're doing at August. I think there is a strong trust culture, and you know, as a result, there are things that are done by people in the team without people having to ask, and that's brilliant. I love seeing that. So yeah.
Amazing. What does the next year hold for August?
Okay, so we are trying to hit sort of product market fit. We're sort of initially there, but we want to try and push that on to really say that we've hit product market fit on all dimensions. We want to continue to build out the landlord side of the app. And I think next year, well, maybe later this year, but next year as well, we want to build out a series of partnerships. We know that if we're going to kind of create an all-in-one app for everyone in the market, there's going to be two things that we need. One is build channel relationships with agencies.
Mm-hmm.
We think we can do that because we believe that agencies at the moment don't have a way to monetize landlords that want to self-manage. We think we could be a potential partner for them in that part of the ecosystem. We also believe that there are many partners in the rental space, the private rental space, that provide services that are much stronger than we will build in the near term. Or even in the midterm, and we want to partner with those companies and offer that service, that experience to our landlords. So there are partnerships that we want to do as well.
For the future of the residential space specifically in the UK, what do you think is going to be important for the rest of this year and going into 2026?
Yeah, probably a few things. I think clearly we've got the Renters' Rights Bill going through Parliament at the moment. There are proposed changes with that bill. It hasn't been signed off yet, so we don't know quite where all of that detail is going to land. So that'll be a continuing theme back end of this year into 2026. I also think there will be the sustainability question around EPCs. What sort of falls into place as the regulation around those, and having greater clarity on that. I also think digital adoption will continue to be driven in reverse almost by tenants demanding digital tools like they have in the rest of their lives. And we think August is a very good solution to sort of knit into that theme, provide tenants what they need, allow landlords to do what they need and communicate with their tenants in an effective way. So we think August sits at the heart of some of those challenges for back end of this year into next.
And then I guess, what advice would you give to someone that's looking to join the sector?
I think first by understanding the customer, understanding landlords, understanding tenants, more generally understanding the property market, how it's made up, who the competitor sets are, what they offer, importantly what they don't offer, and what consumers, customers, users are missing. Because it's in those spaces that you really create the innovation for people looking for new technologies. I think there's the other thing, sort of stay close to the policy changes. It is going to reshape the market in a way that we've not seen for years, decades even. And I think the other thing is to work out and realise that, like many industries, the property industry is a well-networked one. People know each other, so it's getting into those networks of who knows who, and recognizing that you can't build everything. So you need to work with suppliers, partners, and other experts as you go on these build journeys of trying to build something new, bring a new solution to a new market. But I would encourage anyone that has an interest in doing this, anyone that has a great idea, to jump in and give it a go and see where you can get to.